give these to them now.
Okay,
We have 2 cards so far.
okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 1,515th regular board meeting. Prior to us coming back to order, I'd like to refer anybody who needs translator services to Ms. Paula Valbuena at the podium.
Thank you, President Irvin. Buenas tardes, habla Paula Balbuena. Si necesita servicios de interpretación al español, por favor llame al 1805-324-7680 e ingrese el código de acceso 762-960-391 más la tecla numeral. Este es un número totalmente gratis. Nuevamente, llame al número de teléfono 1805-324-7680 y ingrese el código 762-960-391, más la tecla numeral. También puede acceder a esas instrucciones en nuestro sitio web en mcs4kids.com, dirigiéndose a la parte inferior de la página en Quick Links y haciendo clic en Board Agendas para ir a la agenda de esta noche. O de lo contrario, estaré sentada en la parte de atrás para quien necesite servicios de interpretación. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Valbuena. So welcome to the Modesto City Schools regular board meeting of October 28th, 2024. This meeting is now called to order. Report out from closed session. In closed session, the board gave direction to staff. Roll call. Student Board Rep Ahmad Dagar.
Here, present.
Student Board Rep Kavari Gupta.
Present.
Trustee Brown.
I'm present.
Trustee Daly.
Present.
Trustee Lopez.
Present.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Trustee Mejia.
Present.
Vice President Maestas.
Present.
And President Irvin, present. Can we stand for a moment of silence? Thank you. Please be seated. Live stream statement. Good evening, everyone. This open session meeting of the Board of Trustees is being live streamed at the direction of the board. The live stream is available on the district's website, and the recordings will be available for viewing the day after the board meeting. Regarding public comment, MCS has provided an opportunity for the public to provide comments. It is outlined on the agenda. The public has been given an opportunity to call in and leave a voicemail, send us a comment via email, or appear in person before the board. Any public comments received via email or voicemail following the posting of the board agenda and prior to noon the day of the board meeting will not be read aloud, but have been transcribed and printed with copies provided to each board member prior to the start of the board meeting and are available to the public. The voice and email public comments will be attached to the future board meeting minutes for approval. This practice will continue until further notice. For members of the public that are interested in commenting in the future, we welcome your comments. Public comment statement, Board Bylaw 9322B. If you wish to address the board during the period for public comment on a subject not on the agenda, you must complete a public presentation request card and submit it to the board president prior to the period for public comment. If you need assistance from our translator, please indicate so on the request card. Every person who wishes to address the board, please fill out a card. You will find the cards in the lobby. You can hand your comment card to Ms. Chambers in the back of the room. Ms. Chambers, wave your hand. Also, want to remind you, if you wish to make a complaint against a specific district employee, you should follow the district personnel complaint procedure. Copies of that procedure are available in the lobby, as are agenda copies, which outline the procedure we will observe during the period for public comment. The right to address the board does not exempt the speaker from any potential liability for defamation. If you plan to speak on a topic, please fill out a card now, as no cards will be accepted after the period for public comment has begun. The maximum time for any speaker is 3 minutes, for a total of 30 minutes. For those of you requesting translation services, an additional minute will be added to your comment time. Pledge of Allegiance. We are pleased to welcome 2 students from Everett Elementary School to lead us in the flag salute. Zariah Jimenez, a 6th grader. Zariah is a top achiever in her class. Her helpfulness amongst her peers makes her a star student. Zariah is a member of the Student Council. She actively participates in curricular activities and is recognized for her academic achievement and perfect attendance. She is an avid artist who loves colored pencils, drawing, and painting after high school. Zariah plans to attend college to become a doctor. El doctor. Chris Lee. 6th grader Chris Lee is always willing to go out of his way to help others. He is diligent with his coursework, has excellent math skills, and is a top achiever in his grade. Chris loves creating digital content and games for gaming. He enjoys playing on the ELOP after-school baseball team and hanging out with friends in his free time. After high school, Chris plans to attend Oregon State University, after which he wants to work in a career that helps families in the community. Students, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for leading us in the pledge. I will now turn it over to our superintendent, Dr. Noguchi.
And I'm going to have you go down and get a couple pictures with our pledgers.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's all a process. All right, thank you, President Irvin. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out and joining us here tonight for our board meeting. I am pleased to share that we have completed our first quarter of the 24-25 school year. Time is moving super quickly, and I'm excited about the progress that we are making. I would like to stop for a second and just extend my appreciation and thank you to all the individuals that put time into the GRIT teams over the last 3 weeks. It's a significant amount of time, and I'll talk about it in just a second, but it's a significant amount of time, but I know the work is invaluable and it really informs our work. GRIT stands for Graduation Retention Intervention Teams. It's when administrators and key folks from the site meet with specialists at the district office, and we take a deep dive into different data sets so we can see where we've been, where we want to go, and where we need to adjust between now and the next quarter or the next trimester, which is going to be coming up shortly for our elementary. So the focus of our elementary GRIT teams over this last couple weeks have been classroom walkthroughs. Really, how are administrators getting into classrooms and providing teachers with feedback that's useful, not checking the box, but useful feedback on instruction. Also, actions and supports that are supporting our ELA and our math, looking at our data, going deeper into the instructional core and how we're providing that. Also the PLC process, that's always a work in progress, and we're continuing to work on that. And the secondary level, focusing on EL reclassification, which is a huge drive for all of our district, but especially secondary. Work around including special education students in the class, otherwise known as inclusion, but really working to support teachers and what they need to be able to learn the skills and habits of mind, if you will, to be able to support special education in the classroom. We're also looking at grades and dropout and continuing to build a positive culture. And that goes with both the elementary and high school, because we really are still very much focused on increasing attendance. Right now, I can say our attendance to date is higher in the elementary school district than it was at this time last year. In our high school, we're down by almost a half a point, which is significant. So that's work that we will focus on going into Q2 as we continue to move stronger. We're all in this together on attendance. It's parents, it's students, it's teachers, it's staff. It's all working together to ensure we have the right conditions for our kids. Earlier this evening, we had an honor recognizing our students with perfect score on the state test. I can't even imagine getting a perfect score on a state test. But we had over 50 students from many different schools come up and get recognized and honor. And actually, Student Board Rep Dagger was one of those. So let's give a hand to Dagger. So congratulations to the students, but equally as important to the staff, the teachers, the parents, the guardians. Students are successful when they have everyone around them working in creating the right conditions for them, so thank you. And finally, I do want to acknowledge we are going into a challenging time for our district over the next couple board meetings, and actually between now and the end of the year. As I've communicated over the last 4 years, it possibly could be 5 years, we are in the midst of sunsetting our COVID dollars. We know that we got a lot of money during COVID, and now it's time to move some of those dollars out because they're sunsetting, they're ending. And so that means we've got to all make some difficult decisions. I just want to highlight a few things. One, I want us to remember that the process that we're using is the same process that we used last year, and it's the same process that we've used for the last 2 district goal setting processes. And also the same process that we use for guiding principles. Basically, it's the same process in trying to get feedback and input from a variety of different folks to inform myself as I bring recommendations to you all to then get feedback and input from you. Our decisions will be guided by our guiding principles and focus on what is in the best interest of our students, especially those students who are below grade level math, below grade level reading. We really are taking a laser light focus on those students because at the end of the day, that's where we really need to ensure that we have supports. At our next board meeting, we will present these recommendations to the board, which just follows the timeline and the process that we outlined back in September. So no surprises here. We communicated this out last year and again this year. I'm confident that if we all work together, we can create the right conditions for all of our students, especially our students that are continuing to struggle. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to President Urban.
Thank you, Dr. Noguchi. Now we have our recognition by our Chief Communications Officer, Ms. Sharakina Shams.
Good evening, President Urban, Board Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, and our families, staff, and community members who are joining us here tonight. We have so many amazing students, staff, and programs at Modesto City Schools, and it's my honor to introduce some of them to you tonight so that we can recognize these amazing members of our community. We're going to start tonight with our Character Education Award. October's character trait of the month is responsibility. And tonight we are celebrating an outstanding scholar, Ryan Turnquist, a sixth grader at Fairview Elementary School, for exemplifying this trait. Here tonight to tell us a little bit more about Ryan's nomination is Fairview Elementary School's School Support Manager, Lupita Loza. Ms. Loza, if you and Ryan want to make your way up to the front, along with Fairview Elementary School Principal Jennifer Malone. We're going to have all three of you at the front of the room. You can tell us a little bit about Ryan, and then we'll get a picture. This is great.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lupita Loza, and I'm the school support manager at Fairview Elementary. And it is an honor to present this recognition for our Fairview Falcon. What really stands out about Ryan is his polite and respectful demeanor, not just with his peers, but with staff as well. He is always kind, helpful, and considerate, and I am so proud of the young man that he is becoming. I have no doubt that Ryan will continue to flourish and be a positive role model wherever he goes. Ryan has taken the initiative to become a table captain during lunch, and he does an amazing job of making sure his classmates are organized and respectful in the cafeteria. Every day, without being asked, he takes on the responsibility of keeping things running smoothly, encouraging his peers to be quiet, polite, helpful as they clean up together. His leadership and positive attitude has made such a difference, not only in keeping the cafeteria orderly, but also in creating a sense of teamwork amongst his classmates. Ryan, thank you for being a shining example of responsibility, respect, and kindness at Fairview Elementary. We are all so proud of you, and I know you have a bright future ahead. Congratulations.
Inspirational young man. Thank you so much, Ryan. You're very deserving of that award. Next up tonight is our MCS Hero Award, and tonight we have a special treat. We're honored to present this award not to one or two, but to 6 members of the district's school security team. So as I call your name, please feel free to come on up to the front. Mr. Antonio Escobedo, School Security Officer Supervisor, as well as additional school security officers who are with us tonight, Mr. Kevin Wright, Mr. Mac Disney, Mr. Ray Hickman, Mr. Richard Fontana, and Mr. Rudy Rivas Jr., all school security officers. They were nominated by Thomas Downey High School Principal, Mr. David Sanchez. Come on up, Mr. Sanchez. Along with Roger Orth, Senior Director of Maintenance, Operations, and Transportation, and Brian Wilson, Director 2 of Maintenance and Operations. Mr. Sanchez is going to tell us a little bit more about why he nominated you for this award.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for showing up tonight. It would have been awkward had I shown up and nobody else is here, so thank you for being here. Good evening, everyone, Superintendent, Board Trustees, Cabinet, family, staff, and community members. Tonight, it is my honor to present the MCS Hero Award to 6 exceptional individuals whose actions reflect Modesto City Schools' commitment to student safety. On the morning of October 14th, a Downey High School student reported a serious threat while walking to school near Downey Park. The report indicated that an individual may have been armed, prompting an immediate and coordinated response. As soon as our school safety officers were notified, they took swift action and located the individual near the park. When approached by school safety officers, the individual then fled on a bicycle. But these officers showed great professionalism, courage, and dedication as they pursued him. Thanks to their quick response and partnership with the Modesto Police Department, the individual was detained near Memorial Hospital, ensuring the safety of our schools and our community. The actions of these 6 individuals demonstrated their unwavering commitment to keeping students and staff safe, and for that, we are deeply grateful. It is with immense pride and honor that we honor the school safety officers Disney, Escobedo, Beta, Fontana, Hickman, Rivas, and Wright with this MCS Hero Award for their bravery and service. Thank you guys for all that you do each and every day for our students and staff.
Big smiles. Thank you so much, Mr. Sanchez, and congratulations to all of you. President Irvin, before we wrap up, I would like to highlight 2 proclamations that are on the consent agenda this evening that affirm our commitment to honoring the rich diversity within our district. The first one, you'll note, recognizes November as Native American Heritage Month. This observance allows us to recognize the invaluable contributions of Native Americans to our history, culture, and society, and it reinforces our dedication to providing an inclusive curriculum. And finally, we're proposing November also as Sikh American Awareness and Appreciation Month, celebrating the resilience, achievements, and values of the Sikh community, which deeply enrich our schools and neighborhoods. Acknowledging both of these not only enhances understanding among students, but also builds bridges across our diverse communities, foundational to a supportive educational environment. Thank you, trustees. President Irvin, with that, I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Shams. Next, we have A8, I'm sorry, for Board of Education member reports. Do we have any board members who would like to share a report? Trustee Mejia.
Yes, I'll try to be brief. I know there's been a lot going on in our district, and I want to start with some of the ribbon cutting at Tuolumne Elementary, Tuolumne Middle School at K8, and so that was pretty exciting to be there. Also, the groundbreaking of Modesto High, so that was a pretty awesome and incredible. Some of our board members that we were there. It was a whole celebration with the city of Modesto as well, and hundreds and hundreds of students there. And I'll let other folks also elaborate on that. Also participated in the Ethnic Studies Committee that we have, and that's a lot of work that continues to go on, and a lot of hands-on training and development that's happening with teachers as we kind of prepare for that. A big project happening in our district as it becomes a graduation requirement in the future. Also, I took the opportunity to visit some of the, like 4 of our schools. I visited Franklin Elementary, which is one of our highest attendance in our area, so I was super proud of that, and Area 6. And then Alberto Martone, I was able to go and see teachers and students, Mark Twain, and Burbank. So I was able to tour and see a lot of our teachers at work, and a lot of our students doing great stuff. And I also got a chance to talk to a lot of parents during this, since the last meeting to now. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Trustee Brown.
Yes, lots to celebrate. I was able to go to the Mohai celebration, but I missed Tuolumne. I think that's the first ribbon cutting that I've ever missed. And I felt terrible that I wasn't able to be there, but I'm so grateful that so many of my fellow board members were able to be there to celebrate in my absence. Also, we had a special board meeting recently, and that kind of mirrors the information that I'm able to participate with our construction team for the district. And it was great that the rest of the board was able to hear all the great things that are happening. I also did attend the construction meeting just a few days afterwards, and it was kind of a quiet letdown after that meeting because we had already been through that whole process. But I just want to issue a shout out to that committee. All the players on the construction committee are the leaders in the district that are making all these amazing construction projects that we see throughout the district happen. And you know, as you drive around town, you cannot help but see the progress that is being made in the facilities of Modesto City Schools. For that, we have the public to thank. The great support that we've had in the past with our bond measures, and once again, we've got another bond on the ballot this year. And I have to tell you that I've been extremely busy in participating in the election process. And I want to just put it out there as an encouragement for all voters in our community. Please take the time to study the issues, and please be sure to vote by November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. I think Trustee Marks was first. After, you know, he went first and you were there. I clicked it again.
No worries.
You know,
I was like, oh, I looked up and it had changed. I wanted to just say the events that I've been to, which were really amazing. I was invited to a book signing by the David Seymour. He's from McHenry Museum and Historical Society, and it was on a new book about the history of Stanislaus County, because it hasn't been updated since 1946. So it's a really special book. And so it was fun to see a lot of community members that came out. I think there were 4 people that came. Marianne Sanders was there. He invited those who had a school named after them, which is very special. And they're adding some more things to the book as some feedback that we gave them from, you know, just to make sure that it has all the information about what's happening in Stanislaus County and what's happened in the last few decades, which 1946 was a long time ago. So that was a very special event. And then I also attended the ribbon cutting at Tuolumne Middle School. Thank you for the adjustment on the name, because it's been Tuolumne Elementary as long as I can remember. And then I also attended the ethnic studies. And so if anyone has feedback on what they want in our ethnic studies course and have any review process where you want to let us know what you think about it, we would love that. That was one of the things that we're really focusing on right now, which we'd like to see that feedback come in. And then also, I was invited, and they told me they invited all the elected officials to Congregation Beth Shalom, and it was for their Hebrew Fest, and it was the beginning of, and I don't recall the name of the actual holiday, but I call it the Feast of Booths, because that's how I always heard it. The first time I ever heard that, it's where they live in tents, and the Hebrew people live in tents for a time to remember when they didn't have a home in Egypt. And so they build actually a huge tent outside. It's made with wood, but it's pretty cool. And so it was a very special event. Got to meet a lot of community members, and the members of the congregation were there that night. It got a little chilly, but it was very nice to just be with and experience a new holiday and a new event that I had never been to. So I was appreciative of them inviting me. And so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Mejia.
Yeah, I forgot something very important. And I was invited by MTA to a new teacher reception. So a shout out to a lot of our new teachers. They're incredible. I got to meet a lot of them. Lots of energy, lots of great teachers all across our school. So I wanted to give a shout out to MTA for putting that on, and it was great to get to meet a lot of our many years to come teachers. So that it was pretty incredible. And I was able to see some of the students that I met. One of them was a student that I knew when she was a lot younger. So that was pretty exciting to see. So congratulations to all the new teachers and to MTA for organizing this event. Thank you.
Trustee Daly?
I actually had the privilege of going to Johansson's homecoming, and then the additional privilege of helping the new principal, Mr. Ball, crown the homecoming queen and king. So that was really exciting to watch the game, see the floats, enjoy the high school experience again, and be able to interact with some of the students and the staff and the teachers. It was really a lot of fun.
Thank you. Vice President Maestas.
Thank you. So a couple of things here. I also attended the MTA New Teacher Celebration, and so that was really wonderful to meet new teachers and talk with also not just new teachers, but also leaders, teacher leaders in our school district. So that was wonderful experience to be there with them. This last Friday went to the Lakewood Fall Carnival, and my daughter, who I gave an award to earlier, was the first one to dunk me in a dunk tank. And so I should have remembered that before I gave her the award. Just kidding. And I also got to attend the Enoch's Buyer choir performance. This is the first time there was a choir from Enoch's in, I think, 9 years and over a decade for Buyer. So Prop 28 allowed us, and this is an example of that. And it was really, man, those two groups were phenomenal. They started out with an African song, and they came from the back, and it was just amazing. It's really cool. And Enoch's Orchestra was also there I had to skip out early because I had my other son was performing another concert, so I had to get to that too. And then with that, I just want to congratulate. We have several students in our district that made regional honor musics, either an honor choir or honor band wins, I think. And one of them was my son, and my son was the first Enoch students to make an honor choir. So I was the fact that we have a choir now allowed him to do that. And so I'm just pretty proud of him for doing that. I know it's not personal time, but I'm pretty proud of him, but all the students that have been working hard over this last quarter. And it's October. So students and teachers, I know you're tired because it's October. And so this is the time that it's like, oh. So hang in there. We're almost to Thanksgiving. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Lopez.
Yes. Well, I want to start out by saying that I was a part of the ribbon cutting for Tuolumne Middle. We need to come up with a good name that encompasses both middle and elementary for Tuolumne K8.
K8.
And so TK8. Well, anyways, it was a pleasure to be out there. I will intertwine that with the fact that that was all due to in part to the voters of our community that voted for D&E, specifically. Though we've done a lot of great work through D&E and L, and hopefully X in a couple of weeks, but because we have added a STEM building, we have turned from elementary to TK8, and now we've added a new cafeteria, a gym, and a new office to Tuolumne. We've replaced we've moved our drop-off center to around the corner where folks have more space than that tight little area that used to be in front of Herndon. So all that work, along with everything we've done throughout the district, has been thanks to that. So we really completely turned around that school specifically, and that's a great example. And that's like the flagship school of what the work that DNE has done for our district. And so that's not an easy task, and that's everyone out there, parents, voters, teachers, community members, putting in the work and putting in money for that, right? And so thank you, and we really appreciate it. And this is our way of showing that we've done the work that you've entrusted us to do. So being in there and talking to some of the kids, one kid was mentioning to me that he thinks it's cool that he's only gonna have to go to 2 schools, because he's like, yeah, I was here in elementary, now middle school, and now I'll go to Johansson in about a year or so. So that's pretty amazing, and so that really shows the commitment you have to that community specific, but the whole district. Also, last week I was invited to be a keynote speaker at the parent leadership conversations that Mady's group has with the parent engagement work that they're doing now in the middle school. So middle school parents went through a course of understanding how to best to navigate the school district. What are they learning? What are their students learning in their classes? What are GPAs? All that stuff, so they can be better partners in education with our district. And so got to speak to some of them. Really proud of the work that they've been doing, and really proud of the work that we've been doing around parent leadership and parent engagement. And then lastly, if that wasn't enough for showing why we need support and why we need to go out and vote, but go out and vote. There's a lot of issues and positions up that are of great importance to our community. However you vote, we want you to vote knowing that it really impacts the outcomes of our community. So if you already have your ballot, which you should, turn it in. If you want to go and be old school like me, turn it in the day of at a polling site. But we really would appreciate your vote in general so that our communities can thrive. So thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I really forgot this, and I meant to say it. So I was at a football game a few weeks ago, and I was sitting there, and a couple of kids came running up, and they said, "Do you know?" I don't know why they looked at me, and they asked me, "Do you know where the people are in the announcer is?" I said, "No, I don't know." And they said, "Well, somebody lost a wallet, and we want to let them know." And I don't know if they don't think they took any money, but there was all the stuff left in it. And they came and they found it on the other side of the field. They came all the way over so that they can return somebody's wallet that they didn't know. And so I told them that I would say, I asked them if I can let everyone know who they were, and that they get some recognition for being responsible kids. And so Jordan Williams and Carlos Cuadros, and they're from Marshall and Bret Hart, and they showed responsibility of bringing the full wallet. And we some parents that were nearby gave them some money to go get some froyo for returning that wallet. But that just shows you how we are raising some great kids, both the parents and the teachers at those schools. So great job.
Yes, I have a few things as well I'd like to report on. And one was a webinar I attended through UCLA that was called Transforming Discipline. And it was about schools, California schools, how California schools are embracing alternatives to exclusionary practices and dealing with student behavior. And it was basically highlighting, and these schools were presenting about how they were using, from an evidence-based, PBIS. And so there were schools from Claremont, I think Sacramento, and I want to say it was another Southern California. I want to say El Monte, down south, and they kind of would share what they do in terms of coming up with alternatives to exclusionary practices. So I thought was really, really good. The webinars also, I guess they posted it as well afterwards. So it was good to see what they were doing and working with UCLA, because UCLA is providing the evaluation on what they're doing with those practices. Also, got a chance to see some of our CLT classes over at Marshall School, third graders, and these third graders were in that class coding and programming. So it really made me feel old, especially when they're showing me what they're doing. They're also using a 3D printer over there. It was just amazing to see how far we've come with technology in our district and in our schools. That we're third graders are in this coding and programming class. And so it was good to see the teacher was very engaging with the students in the class. And so that was always good to see that the teachers focusing on multiple learning styles within the class, touching each and every one of them. And so it was just really good exciting to see it. But also exciting to have third graders tell adults how to program and code. Also, I went to the Fusion Passion. They had a event at the Martin Peterson Center there with our high schooler, so multicultural conference that was outstanding, had outstanding speakers, students from HYLC, students from the BSUs, and had students from NABI clubs. All the clubs were there at the Martin Peterson Center, center around unity and leadership, developing leadership. So it was good to see that was over 200 students in attendance for that event. Also, I went to, Christian Love had sponsored a mental health day over the church on 8th Street. The church that it was hosted at was on 8th Street on the corner where Marvin and them are. I keep thinking the name of it. Yes, it is, at Redeemer over there. And it was really nice turnout. They gave out free Narcan, provided a lot of service information about mental health services within the county and things like that. So it was a really good turnout. I saw some parents there and some students from our district there as well. Also went to the Tuolumne ribbon cutting as well for our undesignated, what we're going to call it, but I'm just going to call it Tuolumne School right now. Again, had a real good time there interacting with the students and the teachers and staff there at Tuolumne School. It's really a gem, not only within the community there, but a gem within our district. And I'm going to say a gem within the county. Also went to the Modesto High, groundbreaking as well. Also attended the Poet Laureate. The city was had designated a new Poet Laureate for our city. And she's the first African-American Poet Laureate, Angela Drew. So it would also be nice to get her to maybe do some things with some of our students around poetry within our school district as well. Also went to the Downey homecoming and got a chance also to crown the king and the queen there at Downey High School, thanks to Principal Sanchez over there. So that was really good to participate in. It's just amazing to see how, and Downey just, whoo, they put a real butt whooping on on that team. They were playing. It was like they were playing against middle schoolers. But it was really good. So quite busy, but that was about it. Also doing the Tuolumne ribbon cutting. I got a chance to, KCRA3, yeah. And that was good to be able to highlight what's going on in our community. So with that being said, we're going to move on to approval of discussion items. Do I hear a motion to approve the order of discussion items? Oh, where is it? Did I skip 9? Oh, yes, I sure did. Are there any comments regarding consent agenda items? Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda? Been moved by Trustee Mejia and seconded by Trustee Marks. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Aye. The motion carries. Okay. Approval of order of discussion items. Do I hear a motion to approve the order of discussion items? It's been moved by Vice President Maestas and seconded by Trustee Marks. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. That brings us to the period for public comment. Period for public comment. Takes us to the period for public comment. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting and showing interest in our schools. I have 2 cards tonight, and I ask each speaker to come to the podium, address the board. You will have 3 minutes to speak. An additional minute will be added for anyone using translation services. Card number 1 belongs to Jason Flora. Please come to the podium.
Good evening, President Irving and board members and Dr. Noguchi. My name is Jason Flora. I teach over at Hanshaw Middle School, and I just want to bring some concerns I have with the transportation department. I've been doing AVID for almost 10 years now, and the cost that your transportation charge is charging the schools is grossly overcharging. So I don't know if you are aware of this or not. Here's the invoice on the last field trip I took to Sacramento State. We are being charged $13.83 a mile for a school bus. That works out to $360 an hour. If you contact a local charter company here in Modesto, they charge you about $240 an hour. For-profit company. So how does a for-profit company charge the schools $120 less per hour than your own transportation department is? We are given $5,000 a year to go on field trips. That sounds like a lot of money. It does. But recently I've been told that the price jumped up greatly just the last year alone. So this field trip alone, I'm billed $2,337 for a trip on a school bus to Sacramento State. Let's just break that down cost real quick. $2,300. With benefits, driver $300. Gas, $200. Let's say a maintenance fee of $300. That seems reasonable to me. Where is the other $1,500 going? We are a nonprofit school district. Why are we charging and overcharging our schools for field trips? I mean, this is a ridiculous amount of money, $13.83 a mile. So again, I get $5,000 a year. I had a field trip planned for UC Davis in December. I have 3 former Hanshaw students there. They would love to talk to my kids and mentor them and show them you can do the same thing we're doing. I mean, they're there. They were Hanshaw students. They're rooming with each other. I cannot do this at $13.83 a mile. There's no way my $5,000 budget will do it. Please look into this. And the problem with transportation is we can't even contract with STORE directly, only if transportation agrees to it. So I can't even call STORE, who according to this would be $120 an hour cheaper, save myself $800 for this trip alone, and use that money for other field trips. Because the only way I can get a store bus or whoever is if transportation agrees to it. That's a monopoly. They have the approval. They can charge whatever they want. I cannot go with anybody else unless they approve it. Why would they want to approve it if they're grossly overcharging me? Why is this? So I have a second thing, but it's another thing about transportation. It's what I heard that day. We had issues with the bus. So this is a see something, say something real quick. So this is a side note. My girlfriend and spouse, I guess, whatever, she's Asian. So I don't know if I can finish this real quick. It's a second issue, is condescension. Our bus had broken down that morning. We weren't able to leave on time. What I heard over the radio was just appalling to me. And the driver was Asian. I've had him multiple times. He's very professional. And we tell our kids to see something, say something. I haven't said something till today. I went home and told her, and she's like, you have to say something. Because she's highly educated in the medical field, but yet she gets condescension all the time. And I see it. What I heard on the radio that day, because he couldn't get the bus going, we tell our kids not to bully. So whether it's just not awareness of what's happening sometimes when people just say things to other people, I think we need to make that aware of how, I know everyone's frustrated when buses aren't working or things aren't going the way they want, but that doesn't mean that you can talk down to people just because of who they are and you know they're gonna take it because that's their culture. So I'm just saying something on that just because that's a personal issue for me. And she's kind of grown up in that. As educated she is, she still gets it almost on a daily basis. So that's why I'm saying something to that. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Felipe Alvarez.
Can I pass this? It's just for the board members. This information is just information. It's nothing to go through. It's just information for you guys to review it.
Okay, go ahead.
Chairman, trustees, administrators, I get always never recognized that. The reason I'm here is on regards to my issue is parents' participation, how parents are participating in important issues that you're gonna be deciding on November the 18th. And as I belong to the high school council, I was elected at Davis. As also I have been participating in DLAC, the district, since last year. What I see when a report is presented to us is that we as parents are not educated or we are not provided with information. And I have been talking to, and I have been participating to other committees here at the Modesto City Schools District. The comment that I have been giving is that most of the time when parents, we participate in the committee, could be at the district level or could be at the school level, we are just providing information and we're requesting us for our recommendations. As I mentioned to one of the administrators in these important issues, is that the recommendations that we do provide is just by perception. is that you don't give us the opportunity to review. We're not provided with data. It means that we don't know what is the objective, what methodology we're supposed to get into information, and then what recommendation you're asking us. That's the important issue. That for what I hear right now is, and I remember I was in a previous meeting last year, and the same process was given. Now that there's going to be some need to remove some programs, is that as was given last year, as is given this year, is that they just presented to us a document, and this document, that probably you are very familiar, it presents millions of dollars that is spent in this district, and they said, okay, you have to come out with an idea. What programs they had to be cut? Then, in a meeting in which we're at DLAC or we're in another meeting, in a meeting where the agenda is something else, this document is presented, and you want our opinion in regards to millions of dollars to be cut. I think it's that way of request families at this district is extremely not right, because you will not be receiving, you as a trustees, I would say, information that will help you. How do we affecting us? In the document that I give you, the last two pages talks about an issue that I have with when my kids, they were at Fairview. What we don't want is to go through that process in which programs they will pull out, and then we families are affected and we have to make decisions. Then I know that in November 18, you will be taking more time for our comments, then probably I will fulfill you with more information.
Thank you. Although we cannot engage in discussion or take formal action on items not on the agenda, we thank you for following the protocol and addressing the board, and for taking the time to share your views with us this evening. Take us to B1, student representative to the board reports. And our student reps decided before the meeting that student rep Gupta would go first this time. Do you have a report, student rep Gupta?
Yes. So it's really hard to believe that we're already a quarter done with the school year. Well, I guess time goes by fast when you're having fun. So 2 weeks ago, we had our inter-high council meeting with representatives from our high schools, and it was really great to see everyone. So I'd like to report some shared experiences. In particular, we've enjoyed our homecoming festivities, where students had an amazing time at the football game and Hoko dance. The school spirit was very high and many memories were made. And let's not forget about the Kyoto exchange students who arrived at schools like Enox and Grigori. It was a joy having them on campus, and I'm pretty sure we all learned a few words in Japanese. As fall sports wrap up, many teams have held their senior nights, including water polo, tennis, cheer, and football. And lastly, I also attended the Ethnic Studies Guidance Council meeting, and it was really great to be able to learn about the birth of this new program and provide input. Overall, it's been a fantastic start to the school year, full of laughter and memorable moments, and thank you so much for your support as we continue this journey.
Thank you. Student rep Dagger.
Yeah, Kaveri said it very eloquently. So, yeah, most schools have already had their HOCO, or maybe they're having it now in the case of Modesto High School. Johansson had their haunted house last Friday. Modesto High School's, again, currently in their HOCO week with their upcoming dance being this Saturday. And like Student Representative Gupta was talking about, most fall sports have come to a close. We had senior nights for band, cheer, football, and water polo last week. A lot of tears for us seniors, but it's also the start of winter sports conditioning and eventually games. Personally, I'm looking forward to the start of the basketball season. Might be biased as a former player, though. I also attended the groundbreaking ceremony, kind of hard not to, as a Mohai student. And it was super exciting and meaningful. And, you know, I was told to deliver a speech very suddenly the day before. I came to school and I was forwarded emails and CC'd, I don't even know how many times, but the number of exciting things to talk about made it really easy to prepare and give it the day of. And then we had our intra-council meeting 2 weeks ago. We gathered some community and school leadership feedback on the sunsetting COVID funds. And during the meeting, we also voted on exactly what we wanted our service project to be. So we're really excited to get that started. Our goal for next meeting is to finally get that plan ironed out. So that way over November and December and the beginning parts of January, we can hopefully get to work on actually executing that plan. And then Kaveri and I, as she mentioned, both also attended the Ethnic Studies Guidance Council meeting last Monday. So we saw Trustee Mejia, Trustee Marks there. And it was super informative looking over the content that's actually going to be in that course next year. And to be able to put in our own feedback from the student perspective, and also seeing what the teachers had to say about it all. And it was a really strange feeling, to see all that content on posters laid bare in front of me with the musings of teachers written all over it, because, I'm a student. My mindset before had always been like, I consume course content, I don't plan it. But I thought about it then, and I think about it now, and that is really the heart of our position as student reps. Being able to combine both the perspectives of the consumers of education and the creators of it, hopefully to make that ideal product, to make that perfect class. So I came away from that meeting with both an understanding of the ethnic studies course, but also a new understanding of the kind of purpose that Kaveri and I share, one that we can hopefully fulfill with the rest of our team here on the board. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Takes us to B2, Modesto Teachers Association report. President or Vice President? Both?
Good evening, Board President Irvin and trustees, Superintendent Noguchi and Cabinet. Modesto community, good evening. My name is Chris Peterson, proud president of Modesto Teachers Association. Packet being passed around for the trustees is some key facts that we'll be covering here in a second, and want to make sure that everyone has that as we progress around the horn. So I'll give a moment for that to get around. Thank you. It is a appraisal of the association's view of the program review analysis. Now on that front, you'll see the guiding principles that the board committees had created, and those guiding principles, very student-centered, those 4 key elements: equity and access, prioritization of core education goals, and long-term investments. Board generated this policy last November 2023, understand the process, and understand the rationale. If you turn to the next page, you'll see what the association would maintain as a 5th guiding principle that we believe is just as important, that these cuts be taken away from the classroom as far as possible. Now, we recognize the significance that this is a student-focused process, but we also believe that if those cuts are happening outside of the classroom, we are meeting that standard. We are providing the highest level of support. Services to students in many locations, from nurse office to the sports field. Now, on the third deck, if you wouldn't mind turning it, it identifies the programs under review. This marker is a document that I'm sure you're very familiar with. It's the 4-page document that identifies the program, brief summary, and then provides a financial impact to the budget. Now, rather than including all 4 of those pages, because I know we've all been looking over this the last couple of weeks, we understand that this list goes beyond just COVID dollars. We understand that it includes supplemental and concentration money included as well. It's not just COVID, and we appreciate that, understand that position. Now, the good news, I think, has been shared, and thank you for this afternoon's communication, that this number has changed. You remember the original goal was $11 million, and now, because of the first quarter being done, down to 10. That good news, I think, is echoed by information that we're receiving from Sacramento as well. CTA has provided updates to locals suggesting that recent tax revenue in Sacramento are meeting and/or exceeding those monthly expectations. And we believe that as that financial picture continues to develop, we're hoping that that improvement will absolutely continue. Now, another avenue that I think is important when we look at that list is the opportunity to see what other districts are going through in their processes as well. The advantage for our association is we have a service center. CTA organizes us into different sections. Stanislaus County happens to be our own. And in that section, we have meetings, we have coordinated bargaining and presidents, and we can exchange ideas and see what's going on with each other. Now, what's interesting is that when we raise this issue that our district is growing through, right now, there were no other examples in our area of those districts going through this type of process. Wondering, is this process meeting that standard? Was it a part of declining enrollment? For us, the good news that we take is that we understand our numbers are stable and increasing, 0.77% this year. Other districts facing far different expectations and conditions. And with declining enrollment as the cause, I could understand a different scenario for us to be engaged with. But at this time, thank goodness we don't have that working against us. With encouraging tax revenue, not facing declining enrollment, the next major step in the budgeting process is the governor's budget in January 2025. We're hoping that this information continues to improve as we get further down this process. Next page is the program list and the utilization of the thought exchange. A part of this process that the district administration has pursued is receiving key information from a list of 10. This is the groups that have been listed their input in reference to their opinions on this process. MTA is identified in two groups. You have the Budget Advisory Committee and then MTA Consult. The Consult had our opportunity this past Thursday, the 24th, to provide that sort of input. The Budget Committee did not have, it wasn't a part of that program review input using thought exchange. Appreciate the superintendent's decision or cabinet's decision. The Academy of Leaders, AOL, that is the group of administrators with a cohort, a little bit over 200, and that cohort may have influenced the data. So our understanding of the process is that that data wouldn't be included immediately, and we appreciate that. As a means of comparison, our input at Consult, our participation, we had our 5 members at that participation. The next slide is coming from our esteemed colleague, our Executive Director, Yasser Herrera, slide 5 for the LCFF funding increases, and I'll defer to him.
Probably the first time I've heard esteemed reference to a lawyer in a while, but I appreciate Chris saying that all the same. Good evening, President Irvin, trustees, Dr. Noguchi, and cabinet. My name, as Chris noted, is Yasser Herrera. I'm the Executive Director for the Modesto Teachers Association. I'm responsible for presenting slide 5, which compares local control funding formula, LCFF, year-over-year percentage increases in income to spending on administrators and certificated staff from 2019 through the 2024-25 budget adoption year. These are cumulative percentage increases, meaning each year combines the previous year's LCFF income increases and spending increases on administration and certificated bargaining unit members, including salary, health and welfare, STIRS costs, new positions, and new step and columns. What you're going to look at are basically 3 lines. The blue line, which is the LCFF income, which has increased 29.77% since 2019. The green line, as you can see, during that same time frame, is spending on certificated bargaining unit members, in our case, MTA members, which has increased by 43.01%, roughly matching the LCFF income growth. This does not yet include the anticipated increases in health and welfare starting in January 2025. While in the early years, the spending increases on administrative costs closely matched MTA spending increases, starting in 2022 and beyond, they have experienced significant growth, reaching a peak of 78.9% increase since 2019. Furthermore, an analysis of 9 random public school districts, including Modesto City Schools, using publicly available data, Chula Vista, Lodi, Manteca, Mount Diablo, San Jose, San Ramon, Stockton Unified, and Visalia Unified, all with ADA enrollment between 20,000 and 30,000 students, revealed that MCS has the second highest percentage of total outgoing expenditures allocated to administrative salaries at 5.93%. That's a mouthful. What does that mean? That means of all the money that's going out in the budget, 5.93% of that is going on administrative salaries. Compared to all of those 9 school districts, it's the second highest one, being only by Visalia. The average percentage of administrative salaries in that group is 4.89%. The association contends that this spending increase should not be overlooked and warrants careful consideration by the school board in the context of maintaining a sound financial position with a focus on enhancing student achievement and outcomes. I now turn it back to Chris to conclude the presentation.
He's still esteemed in my eyes. On the last page, you'll notice a bar graph that is comparison of that program list that is being currently evaluated. Now, the program list, as you know, as you go through, there are some examples that would include both MTA members, CSEA members. There aren't necessarily clean, perfect lines. So this bar graph is our best guesstimate of using the data provided from the 4-page list into the categories of the impacted group associated with this program review. Clearly, the majority of the funding on the program review is connected to MTA memberships, delivering the services to our students in our schools. The portion that is related to administrative costs are identified in this plan at just the site level. Currently, there are no district-level administrative positions under review. Using the time frame, looking at the data, it gets so overwhelming. You've seen those budget charts. It's a lot of information. When we were looking at the information, we attempted to utilize 2019-20 to 23-24 for a clean, before COVID and us coming out of COVID on the other end. And we were specific in trying to utilize that data to come up with the best snapshot. Interestingly, with the data that Yasser had described with the Venn diagram in the previous page, the increases match in that time period, 2019, 14 additional district administrative positions created, going from 78 to 92 into this 23-24 time period. Now, we understand the severity and the importance of this decision and process. Are there alternatives yet to explore? Well, you'll notice on the bar graph in that third column, equipment and or programs. It could be technology, it could be other opportunities. Are there ways to maybe concentrate in that portion of those program lists for this event rather than utilizing FTEs? Another idea that the association believes could be a reasonable alternative to losing those positions, reserves. You remember the board has had this past practice of having double what the state of California requires, rather than the 6%. Is this a time that maybe that could be temporarily suspended to meet this immediate need? And the third option that we believe is significant is to allow the California budget process to continue, receiving additional guidance from Sacramento before the FTE decisions are finalized. We know these are heady times. We recognize the severity and the importance of these decisions. We just want to make sure that they're sound. For the Modesto Teachers Association, the reductions are necessary. cuts furthest away from the classroom makes the most sense to continue the most robust services to our students. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, B3, California School Employees Association report. President or Vice President?
Okay, I wrote it down this time. We'll see if I get it right. Good evening, President Irvin, School Board Trustees, Superintendent Noguchi, student representatives, and cabinet. I'm Fawn Peterson with this California School Employees Association. Did it. All right. As these I'll introduce you to Blanca Dominguez in just a moment. But the reason she's here is because as we evaluate these various programs to see what's most effective for student outcomes and that meets the guiding principles, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to meet one of the key players. There's a lot of key players in the various programs that we have. We have administrators, we have teachers, we have classified members. And Blanca is one of our Modesto City Schools classified employees and a member of our union. She works in the Modesto Virtual Academy program. And I wanted her to introduce herself and to share some of the tasks that she does and needs that she fulfills.
Good evening, everyone. So I've been at Modesto Virtual Academy for already going on 3 years, and I've been with the district total of 5, going to 6 years. And the best job right now currently is the one I hold is a data entry specialist here for MBA. And the reason being is the program has grown so much, and it's been just an answer to every student's issue or problems or any situation that the student is currently going through. So I feel like that's the reason why I enjoy working with MVA. Currently, my job consists of receiving and processing student contracts. We ensure that the necessary documents for the English learner students, as well as those with IEPs and 504 plans, are approved. We also currently do a master schedule for the program. Our programs uniquely requires the development of a master schedule similar to those of the other sites. We collaborate closely with the IET, which is the Information and Educational Technology Service Department, to create over 5,000 sections, which are classes, designated attendance periods for our teachers. We also create 15 to 20, on top of that, we on a daily, based on our student needs, we'll create 15 to 20 new sections, as well as ESS classes if needed. And if we hire substitute teachers during the program, once we've met our max for teacher caseloads, we'll create those classes for those substitute teachers as well. And then we do the teacher assigning on a daily basis, balancing the teacher caseloads. Since it varies for student grade levels, we assist in building and maintaining a Google Sheet for student record keeping, which tracks enrollment and drop dates. Our database currently that we have, which is PowerSchool, doesn't allow us to centralize our information for MVA. So we manually have to do that and maintain it on a daily basis in order for us to have a one centralized location to get our information as needed for records our admin will request or is needed. And then we assist in dropping students from dropping the schedules for our students when they're returning back to site. We assist with teachers with the APEX programs that they currently use for the students' homework database. And then the Power Teacher Pro to help assist with the grades that they enter for our students. And then in scheduling too, when our caseloads, and especially in the beginning of the school year, we do get influx of students. So in order for us to get them started at the date that we need to, we all kind of put our help in any way that we need, which is, again, scheduling students. And then just basically anything else that's needed. We try to help out. So, I mean, I know the program is growing a lot, and I'm so glad that we're finally getting the need to just look at it and revise any or redesign the program because we do need the help. And yeah, so just here to support.
All right. Okay. The administrators that run the programs, the teachers that teach our students, quite honestly, they wouldn't be able to do their jobs if Blanca wasn't there and others like her to ensure that the data is correct and available to all who need it. I could do her job because I used to do her job. But if anyone else in this room was asked to do her job, would they be able to without being trained? Training takes time. Blanca is a prime example of movement between schools. She and positions. You used to be an attendance clerk for Mark Twain Junior High, and she took the time to learn how to be a data entry on her own time. And then when a position came open, she applied for it and got the position. Didn't you work as a backup for the data entry at your site?
So I worked with Clara, who was one of the persons there at Mark Twain, and then I moved into a position at Pearson MBA for an attendance clerk that opened up during COVID, during that time that, you know, we had over 2,600 kids. So, and then I just helped, like, again, we're helping just because we're so busy with the amount of students that we got during that time. So I was learning it on my own time, and then I just kind of assisted on, again, my own time. And that's how when she retired, I moved into that position, or I applied for the position.
I think that's a prime example of what we can do within Modesto City Schools. If we do need to reduce in some programs, okay, how can we retrain who we have to be able to take over or move into those other positions? There's lots of opportunities. We're just encouraging in all areas that if people can be retained by being retrained, that they can get that training and move into those various positions that will be available. You're probably getting tired of hearing it, but I do appreciate the reception that we've gotten with that idea, and hopefully we can make that movement happen going forward. Thank you for your time. It is a great opportunity to be here again tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. B4, report on enrollment counts for 2024-2025 as of September 6, 2024. Associate Superintendent, Business Services, Tim Zerley.
Thank you, President Irvin. Good evening, trustees. Tonight, we're going to give you a brief update on our annual student enrollment report. And that is for 24-25. That's our total enrollment count as of September 6th of this year. In your packet on the agenda item is a grade level enrollment comparison. And then we'll talk about inter-district transfer requests. These are requests either from our families to a neighboring district or from neighboring district families into our district. We have some good news to report here, and then comments, and then board comments and questions. Here you see our Modesto City Schools vision that you see on every presentation that's brought to the board, and then district goal alignment for this particular report. We've identified goal 4.4, which is to strategically plan for future needs by annually monitoring feeder districts, inter-district transfers, and Modesto City Schools enrollment. This year, as of September 6th, we have 29,739 students. That is TK through 12th grade. Student counts are taken twice a week for the first 4 weeks of school. And as is every year, believe it or not, it still continues. There was a 987 student increase between the first count on August 13th and the final count on September 6th. So every day for the first 4 weeks, the superintendent asks, do we have an update on our enrollment? And thankfully, it continues to trend upward. In this particular case, upwards to 987 student increase from the first day of our count to the final count on September 6th. That is a 272 student increase from the prior year, 2023-24. And that equates, although it is small, less than 1%, it is an increase. It is 0.923% increase. And I had to double check my percentages. I wasn't sure if Mr. Peterson was talking about enrollment increases or not. I think I heard 0.77, but I believe I have it right as 0.923% increase year over year from 23 to 24 to 24-25. Breaking that down, that's 275 student increase for grades TK through 8. There is a typo right here. That should be 190 general education student increase instead of 193. And then 85 student increase for our special education student population. Back to the 190 student increase for TK8. The majority of that is TK, 136 increase in TK students this year from last year. Now we do know that TK enrollment got younger this year, so we expected an increase because more students are eligible for TK enrollment. But we've also expanded TK across the district, every school site. So it's exciting to see that number. The birth rates do not really correlate to an increase in our student population. So apparently families are moving here. They may not have gave birth here, but it's exciting. When we get them as TK students, we normally keep them all the way through 12th grade. So that is a healthy growth from 1 year over the next. We have a 3 student decrease for our 9th through 12th grade students. If that's not flat, it's not. I don't think that is statistically relevant. A 3 student decrease, so it's very exciting to see that. Although it's not growing, this is largely a function of our feeder districts. We have the Modesto City School elementary students that you see above, but we also have a number of feeder districts that feed into us beginning with 9th grade. For our 9th through 12th grade student population, 88 student increase in our general education, 52 student decrease for special education population, and a 39 student decrease in our alternative education program. This is the good news, or this is more positive news. This is a summary table of our inter-district transfer requests going back for 3 years. And going back to 22-23, you can see we had 294 families choose to come to Modesto City Schools from a neighboring district. And we had 402 of our families request to leave. And the majority, I mean, we all know this, that for full transparency, the majority of these students go to series. And so we had a deficit that year in 22-23 of 108 students. 23-24, we had 317 families request to come to Modesto City Schools. 385 families request to leave. That deficit went down to 68 students. And then this year, although our inter-district transfers out went up, our transfers in continue to grow. So 384 students coming into Modesto City Schools from neighboring districts. 417 are going out, still choosing to leave our district for another school district. So our net deficit has decreased to 33 students, got from 108 in 22-23 down to 33 students in 24-25, our current year. So pretty exciting to show that. We would love to have the inter-district transfer requests out decrease, but we do know that a number of those families choose to leave us from South Modesto and go to Ceres. We've known that for years, and that's why we addressed that in boundary conversations and other things. But it's exciting to see our net deficit continue to drop. These are just a list of some positive changes we believe that are helping us stabilize our enrollment or make us more attractive to those families that want to come to us, and also to keep those that are with us. We're going to continue these programs. We're going to monitor them. As previously mentioned, TK school site expansion is complete. We do have TK programs at every elementary school, and then you see the number of TK students that we have for this year. Before and after school programs, again, this is a robust program run through Associate Superintendent Mark Herbst and Student Support Services at all of our TK8 school sites. I say all, but I'm not quite sure if it is all or not, but it is very robust, and we're very proud of that, and hopefully it's helping us to recruit families to our area and keep the ones we have. New last year, junior high school activities and athletics, continue that. Esports, 3rd through 12th grades. That's pretty attractive to some students that want the esports environment. Dual language grade expansion, we have expanded, so continue this for TK8, Modesto Virtual Academy. School facility improvements and additions. I mean, we're doing a great job of highlighting the improvements, the additions we're making, and hopefully we heard earlier about Tuolumne and how for the Tuolumne community, there are 2 schools. They have the choice to be at 2 schools, Tuolumne and Johansen. Before, we lost a number of those students to Ceres, and then they would go to Ceres, and then they would go to Ceres High School. So I'm pretty excited to have that. And then for my colleague on the right, we now have a very competent communications team who does an exemplary job of marketing our offerings through social media and other forms of output, and we think that very excited to have that continue as we go forward. I'll turn it back over to you, President Irvin.
Thank you. With that being said, are there any comments from the public on this agenda item? Ms. Peterson.
Thank you for your time. I was reviewing this information that Mr. Zerli had put together for us, and I had some questions, which I know I don't get to ask, but I can say them, and maybe someone else can ask. But I noticed that overall decrease in the special ed area, and I'm curious about that because that could affect, well, it will affect our classified employees because in the special ed category, we have a lot of classified employees with the district and members of the union who are paraeducators, and so that could affect them. Granted, 51 students, that's about 3 classrooms if they have 18 students in each classroom. So it's spread over various different grade levels, but it would be interested to know the why. I also was curious about the increase in the 275 TK through 8 students. I know that we have paras in the TK classrooms, and with that increase in TK and the decrease in special ed, if there's a way to have movement of paras, granted, I know that they're different job titles and different departments, but an opportunity for movement nonetheless. I also noticed the decrease in alternative ed, and I thought we offered so many various alternative ed options, it would be interesting to know the why of that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, are there any comments or questions from the board? Vice President Maestas.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation, as always. Thank you. Couple of questions. So I too have written down a Y on our decrease in special education and alternative education. Those numbers seem kind of high to me. So do we have any indication on where those kids have gone or why we've decreased that enrollment?
I'd want to do a little bit of a deeper analysis, but to the point, we do get a number of our students that come in from outside of our district that come in. I could look at our own 8th graders and I'd say transitioned into 9th grade just to see there. But I will tell you, from our caseloads traditionally have ran very, very high at the high school level. It's actually probably in some ways a welcome relief. It has not had an impact on staffing at the high school level.
And just for clarification on the alternative ed, that is Elliott High School.
Right.
And so they're depending on, as students enroll into Elliott, I mean, that's going to continue to increase throughout the year. This is as of September 6th. But when it's alternative education, that is referenced only to Elliott Continuation School.
Okay, that's to date.
That was as of September 6th.
Okay,
It
okay.
probably looks
And
different
Elliott has
today.
it has a very fluctuating attendance throughout the year.
Correct.
So, okay, that makes sense on that one. On the next slide, I'm wondering, has our expansion of Tuolumne into middle school over the last few years, has that helped us retain students that have transferred out of I mean, it doesn't look like there's been, well, much change other than more kids leaving our district, but I would hope that had some change. Has that?
Yeah, I don't think we've seen statistically a change that, it shows up for us. We know we're keeping them. I don't think we've grown, but now that we have the construction complete, we have the beautiful new gymnasium that we can show off and utilize. I think now, I mean, we're just hopeful that we will see that faucet continue to be turned off for those students in that area that choose series over Tuolumne School.
Mm-hmm. On the continue and monitor your next steps, one thing that's not listed here, and I don't know if it's because we have so many great things that you just can't list them all, or you've done an analysis that these are the biggest drivers. But I would venture to say that our CTE programs are drivers of students coming into our district and not going to other districts. I believe that Modesto City Schools has one of the most robust CTE programs for high school in the area. Am I wrong to say that? No, I'm pretty sure. So I know plenty students that have stayed in Modesto City purely because of like the forensics academy and the IB program and high school programs, even though we've lost 3, but I think those are drivers of students staying in our district.
Absolutely, and I just noted that for future presentations, and we're very proud of the programs that we offer and the quality of those programs and how attractive they would be to high school students that are not currently within our boundaries.
Yeah, so on that, I'm wondering if a question to add for next steps is like mentorships or apprenticeships opportunities through our CTE programs. That might be something that could be looked into on getting more kids as we look at preparing kids for both college and careers. How can we offer those types of programs? So, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Marks.
Thank you so much. I appreciate Trustee Maestas's comments because I had a couple of the same ones. Like, well, how about CTE? CTE is out one of them, and so I just wanted to say that. And as I look at it, it would be great if we could know from those 400 students or 378, but that are coming in, what made them choose our school district? Like when they apply, is it for a specific school? Do we have more at one school than another? Just so that we can see, should we expand a program there that's very, it's resonating with students in what they want to do for their future. And as we watch things change in our environment, you know, what is it that our students really are, well, what kind of jobs are they going to get? So to me, that's what we're focusing on. And so I think that's good. The other one is, are we asking why students are leaving? So are we, when they transfer out, do we have an opportunity to say what happened? Because I know when we did some of those empathy calls, we learned a lot about students and families that were going through some very difficult times. And in some of those calls, we learned that we weren't supporting them very well. And so they were leaving because they didn't feel supported. So sometimes it's nice to know why they're leaving. So are we doing that?
Yeah, we developed a process a couple years ago. I can't say it's each and every one of, like, say, the 400, but we pick grade span levels, and there's probably about 25, 26 calls just to get a sampling of some of the reasons in which they've left.
Okay, that, yeah. And I know it's a lot. It's 300 or 400 students that have decided to go elsewhere. So just knowing the why, I think will help us. And I know we've been focusing on this because we really want them to want to be here, and we want to be the destination district. So what are we doing? And obviously, our programs are superb, the CTE programs and the pathways. Then the other idea I'm thinking about is if we, I don't recall the number of pathways that we have, but if we focus in on fewer and do a broader opportunity for those students, rather than spread ourselves too thin on certain ones, then they might have opportunities to have apprenticeships, which is really important right now for students to be able to get a job and to get those skills and to be ready to get to move into the next level of their education or their job, whichever they choose to do. And I've watched other schools around the state do that, and they work with their community and the job offers in their community, and it expands how many students take those programs. So if they're high in medical, they have a whole bunch of students taking medical, and then they have opportunities to be apprentices at the hospitals in their area. So, which right now, I mean, I just look at it, how can we incorporate some of that into our district? So just an outside, because we can't talk about this with each other outside of this room, is an opportunity to at least put some ideas out there. So that's
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you.
Trustee Brown.
Yes, I'm appreciative as we look at the overall numbers and the fact that we do see an uptick in the total number of students. And what feels good with that is that seems to be a trend bucking statewide. And I also think it would be helpful for us when we do this analysis to look at population expansion or decrease for the area. From what I understand, the overall population for Stanislaus County and for the city of Modesto has declined slightly rather than increased. So that would be an important number for us to look at going forward. And I just want to, instead of asking questions, express gratitude to the leadership of the district for the extreme focus on building the opportunity for us to keep families within the district. I know that's been a real strong area of focus for many years. And it feels like with this uptick that we're seeing that bucks the trend, we're definitely making progress. So I thank you for the effort that's gone into all of these contributing factors that is leading us in a positive direction. We still have lots to learn, lots to grow, but we're making the right moves, and I thank you for all the effort.
Thank you. Again, this is really good information. My questions would be, I see the in and out. How do we capitalize on our all that we have to offer? To a point where that 384 and that minus 417 becomes a addition of 417 plus the 384, going forward. Because given, like you said, we have, students going to series, but we have 7 outstanding options of schools with various different CTE and other programs that would be beneficial. How do we leverage that to make a greater impact in our cause to stay a destination district? And also, is there a possibility, because I had the same question as Trustee Marks and Trustee and Vice President Maestas, in terms of why? Is there a way, is there a form that they fill out when they leave, something that we can have a form, a check, hey, why are you leaving, and have something on a form that we can have document, so we can actually, rather than rely on phone calls, something that's recordable, that when they're filling out a transfer for their CUME file, or transfer out of our district, to figure out on a form that we would have to have them say why are they leaving our district. And then the last thing is site marketing. How are sites marketing our programs and services there? Like for example, Tuolumne, have they, it's a possibility to have a big community event where the community and parents come to that luxurious, in terms of schools, gymnasium and multi-purpose room, so they could see for themselves what we have to offer. I don't know, something like a community community party, like they have, National Night Out. We're gonna have National Night In at Tuolumne or something. Just some thoughts and some ideas. But we have 7, particularly 8 outstanding high schools, and that they can choose from. And so how do we get more to see their options and opportunities within our district? You got one more thing, Trustee Brown?
So one thing that I think is interesting, we haven't talked about facilities and the amount of spending that's happened in our schools. When we see that the growth in our enrollment is primarily at our K-8 schools, that's where over this time we have spent bond money to improve our campuses. So I think that's got to be a big contributor that we may not be considering here. And as we look at the fact that we're flat with our high school, we are entering the period of time where we are expending lots of dollars improving our campuses. So my hope is that we're going to see a correlation between the spending of bond funds and our high school campuses and the retention of families and students. I think that's an important thing for us to look at. I look at what's happening with our bond funds and the improvements to not only the schools, but also the neighborhoods. When we improve a school, we improve the value of the homes all around that school. I think that we're going to see over the next few years some huge changes in our high schools in this regard.
Any others? Seeing none, that takes us, my question wasn't answered. There's no form, right, that we can put out on the form?
Believe it or not, even though it takes more time, actually doing the calls is worth it, because there's basically specific reasons that you can request an inter-district transfer.
Right.
If you click that button, you may say it's because of childcare, but after the fact phone call, you could actually, after the IDT's been approved, getting some genuine dialogue is actually helpful to really get to the root cause. But yes, the form tracks I want to say there's 4 different reasons why a parent can request an inter-district transfer.
Okay. But, both could help too. Okay, thank you. B5, report on early childhood education. Right? Okay.
Hey.
We're gonna, after you, Ms. Nunes, we'll take,
Take a break.
we're gonna take a break now, okay?
Break now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
We'll
wait.
take a bladder break right now.
Okay.
5 minutes. Okay, Ms. Nunes.
It's on? Okay, we're good. I can hear now. Okay, good evening, President Irvin, Board of Trustees, Dr. Noguchi, Cabinet, and members of the public. I'm Heidi Noon, Senior Director of Early Childhood Education, and I'm excited to share the progress and growth that's continuing to be made in early childhood education. The purpose of our presentation tonight is to provide an update on the growth and progress, including a department overview, give you some updates on our infant toddler center that recently opened, explain the teaching and learning that happens in ECE, share some of the alignment that occurs with transitional kindergarten, or TK, and share the focused efforts that we've made on parent engagement and education with our ECE families. Preparing our littlest learners is the foundation of the MCS vision, ensuring that every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. A large majority of the work that occurs in ECE is directly aligned with Goals 1 and Goal 3. Early childhood education is a very large department that serves approximately 1,000 children when we're fully enrolled. The ECE team consists of 135 certificated, classified, and management staff members and 19 family child care homes who work collectively to support our littlest learners and provide them with the foundational skills that will prepare them for TK, K, and beyond. Our programs include state preschool and Head Start that serve 3- and 4-year-old students in part and full day programs. We currently have 29 part-day preschool classrooms, 17 part-day Head Start classrooms, as well as 3 full-day blended classrooms who provide care to families with a verified need. We currently have programs at 18 sites across the district, including Pearson and Johansson, and 16 elementary schools. So I want to challenge you to think, instead of our schools, these 16 schools being TK6, we are pre-K6 or pre-K8. So I want to challenge you to change your mindset. ECE also includes a family child care network who serve approximately 160 infant through school-age children in private homes across our city. Our family child care team supports these providers with developmentally informed curriculum and instruction and intentionally planned learning environments. This network is funded through the General Child Care and Development Contract with the California Department of Social Services, and 7 of these providers participate in the Early Head Start Child Care Partnership with SCO. Based on feedback from our most recent contract monitoring review, our family child care network will be recognized as an exemplary program, and best practices from our department will be featured in upcoming professional development opportunities and webinars provided by the CDSS and Every Child California. So we're very incredibly proud of our team for that. We are also excited to share our new infant and toddler classrooms, which opened at Robb Road Children's Center on July 8th with a red carpet welcome. We are currently serving 6 infants ages 2 to 18 months, thank you, and 8 toddlers ages 18 to 36 months in a full-day, full-year program. The program for infants and toddlers, or the PITC approach, is used, which includes a relationship-based, reflective, and responsive curriculum that builds on infant-initiated learning. The growth and development that these infants and toddlers have made already in 3 months is inspiring, and we are so excited to see how they continue to grow and learn. All of our ECE classes implement play-based learning, which is an educational approach that incorporates play as a central component of the learning process. Through play, children engage in critical thinking and decision-making, all while having fun and building strong pre-literacy, math, and social-emotional skills, which is the foundation for their future academic success. To ensure that instruction and play-based learning is intentional and developmentally informed, all ECE programs use research-validated curricula, the preschool TK learning foundations, and observational data to plan and deliver this play-based instruction. Early childhood education programs, along with the transitional kindergarten, make up the Universal Pre-K initiative that's being implemented by the California Department of Education. It is critical that these programs are aligned to provide a solid foundation to ensure kindergarten readiness. To build this coherent system over the last 3 years, ECE has worked towards having consistent curricula that are listed on the slide, similar instructional routines and procedures, aligned assessments, and the ability to analyze data and define trends to improve instruction in our ECE classrooms. Strong family engagement is central in promoting healthy and development and wellness of all children. Families are the child's first and most important teachers, and it is critical for us to partner with these families to best support the health and development of children. To promote and grow family engagement in education, our ECE team held 93 parent meetings last year with over 1,000 parents coming together to learn how to best support their child and their family in areas such as early literacy, healthy living, financial wellness, and transitions to TK and K. Our family service specialists work closely with ECE families and provided over 1,300 referrals to public agencies to receive support specific to housing, food, health services, job seeking, education, etc. These resources are invaluable to the children and families that we serve. We are excited to share that last year we began a collaboration with the Modesto Children's Museum, or Mochi-Mu, to provide all children enrolled in special education preschool or an ECE program an opportunity to explore the Mochi-Mu with their parent or guardian. They hosted 4 regional Modesto City Schools nights where 480 children spent quality time with their adult, engaging in the exhibits and having fun learning together. We are excited to continue this collaboration for the next 2 years and thank Modesto City Schools and Mochi-Mu for this continued partnership. That picture on the bottom left corner is my favorite. You can tell a picture's worth 1,000 words, and that encompasses everybody's feeling on those ECE nights. And finally, ECE was able to partner with Johansen High School's Viking Production Network to create a promotional video to highlight and share the great work that happens for our district's youngest learners. And so I'm excited to share that with you now.
2, 1, action.
ECE, or Early Childhood Education, is a comprehensive program for our littlest learners in Modesto City Schools, where we serve approximately 1,000 children.
Our services include having a high-quality instructional program. We also provide referrals and services for families that are in need.
ECE is important at Modesto City Schools because we serve all different types of children, ages infancy all the way up until children enter elementary school.
Children coming to our program for the first time without knowing how to be separated from parents, so we teach them how to trust, how to build relationships.
The ECE program supports students and families by creating that communication and creating that first experience in their child's lives and education.
It helps children to develop life skills, starting with social emotional skills, to successfully help in their academics.
We're there to help the children and the families to better understand their children so that they know how to, get along in everyday life.
I decided to enroll my daughter into ECE because my little brother was in this program. And when I became a parent, I wanted my daughter to be in this program as well. I wanted to enroll my daughter in the ECE program because since she was an only child, I wanted her to be more around kids, learn to share. So ECE has helped my daughter develop into a more social student.
ECE is kind of like the rain and the sunshine when growing a plant. The child is the seed and they're coming in with all these roots and experiences. And as like the rain, we pour in that care, we pour in that love, we pour in that knowledge into them. And as the sun, we try to foster that education even more through the activities that we're doing so that they can sprout into strong members of society.
I feel like ECE is a very underrated program, and a lot of people have the wrong concept of it. They just feel like, oh, they're putting their child into school soon. I think it's just a program that actually helps children develop faster, build communication, build relationships, and it just helps them get ahead of everything.
ECE is very important to me because having been a site administrator and a teacher for many years in our district, I saw a need for children to have foundational skills to help them be successful. And I'm incredibly proud of our team of over 150 staff members who work diligently every day to help our littlest TK in kindergarten.
I would recommend it because my 4 kids have been in the program. It's given me more time not to focus on school or work because my mom's ill. So it gives me time to take care of my mom and then come and get my daughter, and I know she's doing good in school.
I'm proud to work at ECE. We have so many different services that we provide to families and children throughout our community, and it's a wonderful program for children and families.
We are the foundation of our district's vision, which is every student graduates with the skills, knowledge, and character traits essential to thrive and contribute to society. So we are building school readiness skills at their earliest age so that they can be school ready and prepared with social emotional development skills, early literacy skills, early math skills to help them be successful in TK, K, and beyond.
This is ECE.
Early childhood education. Aren't they adorable? Don't you want to go visit? We have our Johansson senior, Braden Horseman. He's in the back, and he's our producer of that video. So we want to thank he and Mr. Nick Garcia for coming tonight to support. So our next steps include in strategic planning to meet the needs of the community and address the expansion of TK and the impact that that's had on ECE enrollment. We're going to continue to focus on recruiting and enrolling new families, consider expanding infant and toddler care, and finally collaborate with special education to develop a full preschool inclusion program. President Irvin, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thank you, Ms. News. Okay, are there any comments from the public?
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Johansson student, for putting that awesome video together. Sorry, I forgot your name. Braden. Awesome, awesome. I got to go visit the Infant and Toddler Center at Robb Road. It is awesome. If I could crawl, I would have spent more time there. The little chairs, the little toys, it was awesome. So I got to go there before the kiddos came. Heidi invited me to come and check it out, and it was awesome. I have noticed over last year and this year the lowering of TK age kiddos, and I was wondering how that was going to affect the ECE program. A few years ago, we used to be able to overlap ECE and TK because the grades, the ages overlapped, and so we were able to offer like a half-day TK and then part of the time at ECE. But now with the TK being a full-day program, we don't have that overlap, and so I was wondering how that was going to affect the ECE program. I hope that it's going to continue to expand because I must admit I was one of those people that said, oh, you're just putting kids in school earlier. But in having grandkids, I can see how my grandkids could benefit from that early intervention in the early childhood education program. I would be interested to know, I know you told me at the time, and I don't remember, how many, what the ratio between teacher and students and then paras and students, so classified staff and students. I'd be interested to know what that ratio is again, but maybe we can talk later, or somebody else could ask. But it's an awesome program, and it's great to see the opportunity offered for little kiddos, because while I don't want to teach them, they're dear to my heart.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from the board? Seeing some? Oh, another comment? Oh.
Good afternoon, or evening, sorry. It's past my bedtime. My name is Suzanne Lemus. I am a ECE teacher at James Marshall. I'm also an MTA member, but I just was gonna piggyback on Heidi's presentation. My children were invited to the Mochi Moo museum event last year. Out of 24 students, I had 13 children that went and their parents, and they had a wonderful time. We came back, we did dictation, we followed up on it. I took pictures of all my children there, and one of my little girls who had a cousin, I believe, that had a hard time that was also there, had to leave early. So she told me that next time when she comes, she's gonna go back and stay longer. But she didn't get to go back, but it was a fun event and the program is very awesome. So if you have the opportunity, I invite everybody to come see our program. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions and comments from the board? Trustee Brown.
What a fun presentation, thank you. We got to have a sneak peek by looking at some audit documents recently, and I was just beaming when I saw how highly rated our program is in the state, and the fact, as you mentioned in your presentation, that what we're doing here in Modesto is going to be the model for what other districts can do throughout the state. So I want to thank you for your leadership in making this happen. And question that I have, we're coming into a period of time where we have to look seriously at budget cuts. Tell us where the funding for your program is coming from, and is that affected at all by COVID dollars?
So our funding comes from the Department of Social Services. We have a contract with them, our general child care contract, our California State Preschool contract through California Department of Education, and also our Head Start contract through the Office of Head Start, but we're a grantee of Stanislaus County Office of Education. So we are not impacted by COVID dollars directly.
Are we seeing increased opportunities for funding for this program? It looks like we're growing and expanding. So how will we have enough money to continue growing and expanding? And is this going to create opportunities for us to train some people whose jobs are affected otherwise into ECE?
Potentially, yes. However, as Mr. Zerly said, TK is expanding exponentially. And so many of our children who would be qualified and usually attend an ECE program are now attending TK. So it's just shifting the mindset and looking at students, the age of the students differently, and then also looking at the opportunities, the programs that we're providing. In some of our family surveys that we have, families are requesting longer day programs because we have many part-day classrooms. And so that's one of the options that we're doing in that strategic planning that I mentioned.
Thank you.
And may I just add, it's not just my leadership. My team is behind me, and I have to give it to them. They're the ones that are in the trenches doing the work, so.
Well, when I said leadership, I was not directing that only to you. It was for the your
Just wanted to
team.
make sure they're
Your
behind me.
team's doing amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Trustee Marks.
Thank you. It's so great to see all of this and what's happening with the program and how much it's grown, even though TK is affecting it a little bit. So I wanted to know, how do you identify the students that are going to be in the program, the children that are going to enroll in the program?
So there are income eligibility requirements that we have for state preschool and Head Start. And then we have a very robust recruitment team and enrollment team. They're at every event in Modesto and surrounding areas, led by Sarah Cromwell, who's here, and just recruiting and enrolling as much as we can. And so that's how children are identified. You don't have to live within our attendance area. If you're interested in the program, we've got a spot for you.
Okay, yeah, yes, because I wasn't sure how the students, the parents find out about the program. And is it, I'm going to believe this, I know the answer to this, but is it free to every parent that their child is enrolled, or is there a fee?
It's a subsidized program, so it is, for our part-day programs, they are free.
Okay.
For our full-day programs, there is a scale, an income eligibility scale,
Yeah.
but primarily it's at no cost to families.
Okay, well, thank you, that was great.
Thank you. Vice President Maestas.
Thank you. I just want to say the music, the Curious George music on that video, so perfect. Gave me all the feels on that one. And I think we went in adorable cuteness overload with this presentation. So lots of smiles. When you talked about the funding, is it per child? Is it funded kind of like we are in the other with like ADA? How is that funded?
Our state preschool program and our general child care contract, those are both funded per child per day. And our Head Start program is not. It's just a contract fund.
Okay. All right. How many years have we had ECE in our district?
Over 30.
30 years. Do we have any data? Let's see. You knew that sometime I was going to ask about data, right? Before I get to that question, just something I was thinking about. It blows my mind that there's curriculum. Like, I think that's the part that people think when they hear like, oh, there's just curriculum and curriculum and curriculum. They think, oh, that's just putting kids in school earlier. But the curriculum is just guided. I mean, it's guided play. But I was thinking, God, when my kids were the curriculum was Elmo and Count and Cookie Monster. They helped with the curriculum there. But California's been pushing. I remember first 5 California. It's so important, those first 5 years, and we're providing that for our community. Do we have data on longitudinal data on our students that have gone through ECE and how they've done throughout school?
So we have recently started putting our ECE students in our database, our Performance Matters, our data platform. And so we will have that. I can't give you that from previous. I can give you year-to-year comparisons in ECE programs, but we will be able to, now that we're in Performance Matters, to show how our ECE students do in TK, K, and beyond.
And beyond.
And
Yeah,
beyond, yes, that's the important data to see how they're doing really by 3rd grade.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I mean, that's going to be, I want to keep seeing the data on that, because I want to see, not because we want to see the efficacy of the program. I have a pretty good feeling that it is effective throughout their lives, but the power that will give us as they go through to see their reading comprehension being improved, those kids do better in reading when they're in 3rd grade. Do they go on to take mathematics in higher mathematics? What are those data points as they progress through our system? So I'm glad that we have the capabilities of keeping those data now as they progress. So I'm curious to see that as we continue to do that. Will we get a report on that like every year, or can we get that every few years, just so that keep in touch and see how that's going?
And we have baseline data from last year, so in May, I can give you an update.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Daly?
Another shout out to Johansson in that video. That was just awesome. But they usually are. So I actually, to piggyback off of Trustee Myasis, I would also love to see, because TK 3rd would probably be social emotional in reference to behavior. I would love to see behavior identified if there's changes in that. I would also love to see either via not text, but via written, an example of the 2nd step social emotional development curriculum, or even to attend something in person. So that would be.
When you're ready, let me know.
Yeah.
I'd love to take you. Suzanne offered already.
That would be something that would be really interesting to see how that is, and then also to track that data and see if there is any type of correlation. Thank you.
Yes, I have 2 things. One, what is the PITC acronym?
It's the Program for Infant and Toddler Care.
Okay, program for approach. Okay. And second, could you kind of explain, because I know we just had one of your teachers, but let some of them, because I used to have an early childhood director's permit, and so you have different levels of teachers in the program. You got those permitted teachers and assistant teachers, and then you have the traditional teachers in programs. So maybe so all of us could know, types of teachers and their level of responsibility in our EC.
Okay, so all of our ECE teachers are either our Head Start or state preschool teachers. Most of them have a bachelor's degree in early childhood education or child development. And then they also are required to have a teacher permit or higher through the CTC. We have associate teachers who are our instructional paras, and they have to have an associate teacher permit, which requires 12 units of early childhood education. And then we also have instructional paras who don't necessarily have to have the units, but we have many who are interested in building their career path in ECE, and so it gets them the observational hours and an opportunity to start. At Robb Road, we also have a lead teacher because of our infant and toddler care, and so she's required to have an even higher level permit as well to be more of a supervisory role.
Thank you, and great report. I really
Thank you.
appreciate the information. Yeah, great job. Okay, that takes us to B6, Modesto City Schools Expanded Learning Programs and Overview of Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, ELOP. ELOP. Isaias Rumayor, doctor.
Good evening, everyone. Ooh, excuse me. I apologize for that. Good evening, President Irvin, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Noguchi, cabinet members, student representatives, MCS staff, and guests that are still with us this evening. I have the distinct honor and privilege to provide an overview of the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, most commonly known as ELOP, and it is current implementation within Modesto City Schools. The purpose of this board presentation is to review the purpose of ELOP, review ELOP programs in grades TK-12 and relevant student data, and then also discuss next steps. So our collective why, Expanded Learning Programs, is not only committed to the district's vision, we aim to exceed it in our efforts to provide opportunities for our students to graduate and to gain access within our programs to further gain skills, acquire new knowledge, and develop character traits that are essential for our students to thrive and contribute to our communities and to society. So our efforts, Expanded Learning and ELOP funds, are aligned specifically to strategic Goal 1 by ensuring that students are prepared in college and career indicators, that our English learners receive further opportunities to assist in their reclassification, to ensure that students have diverse enrichment opportunities, and that are included, and opportunities that are including for our students with disabilities through our inclusionary practices. So what expanded learning means, expanded learning is before school, after school, summer and intersession learning that focuses on the development of academics, addressing the social and emotional and physical needs of our students through hands-on engaging learning experiences. So the program and services available within expanded learning programs include, but not limited, before school, available to TK-6 students, after school programs, currently available to TK-8, rigorous intervention student enrichment, also known as RISE for our TK-12 students. Also RISE, but with a specific focus on enrichment, our intersessions, which is specifically winter and spring, and then also summer school. Just some information regarding our before school program. So available to all TK-6 school sites beginning at 7 a.m. And then our efforts support the students' academics and provide a safe place for our students of working families. Some before school data. In 22-23, we served a little over 1,000 students. In 23-24, it was mirrored, almost just a hair over 1,000 students that we served. And then this year, we're super excited to announce that in 2024, as of last week, we're serving almost 2,000 students in our morning program. Our after-school program, also traditionally known as ACES. ACES is a funding source within our department, but under the umbrella of expanded learning programs. ELOP has currently provided the opportunity for us to serve all TK-8 students an opportunity to stay after school with us. After-school programs provide academic support and provide an extension of student learning with activities that include art, music, recreation, science, and field trip opportunities. And then students have the ability to be with us until 6 p.m. All TK after-school programs are available to students that are interested. There is no fee associated with the after-school program. After-school program data. So in 22-23, we served 2,300 students. Enrollment grew in 23-24 to 6,600 students. And then this year, currently, as of October 23rd, we are currently serving 6,500 students. And then that enrollment continues to grow every day. Student demographic data reflects the following ethnicity percentages. Expanded students enrollment is nearly aligned to the district's ethnic student percentages and ethnicities in grades TK8 for the following ethnic groups: Asian, Black, African American, Hispanic, or those with 2 or more ethnicities. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our staffing partners for all of the work that they do. PAL, Police Activities League, which is through the Stanislaus Sheriff's Department, City of Modesto Parks and Recreation, and the Boys and Girls Club. They provide opportunities for our programs to be filled with staffing needs, support Power Hour, which we refer as the homework hour, physical activities for students through our recreation departments, intramural sports, enrichment opportunities, which earlier we heard about our current efforts in softball. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all of our classified staff within the district, CSEA members, our teachers within MTA, and school administrators that support our efforts in addressing the academic, emotional, and social needs of our MCS students and the families we serve through expanded learning. So now I'm going to spend a little bit of time explaining our rigorous intervention student enrichment program, also RISE, specifically in TK6. RISE is a flagship program under expanded learning. The goal of RISE is to support students' mastery of specific standards, improve on district state assessments, provide consistency for intervention efforts to support MCS instructional core. The students that are selected for this program for academic intervention, we're looking at students who are scoring well below the within specific skills students need to master to be proficient, specifically in English, language arts, and mathematics. Some RISE data for your review. In 22-23, we served approximately 1,800 students. That grew in 23-24 to 2,400 students, and currently we are serving, as of 10-23, serving a little over 2,000 students in RISE academic intervention. Just some progress that we're making in RISE. So this is looking at a two-year comparison in ELA of math algebra readiness. Students are scoring 84% and 78% in mathematics, as meeting 15% growth in pre to post test assessments. So we're super excited of the growth that our students are making after receiving academic intervention in RISE. RISE Enrichment, this is our enrichment program. TK8, enrichment classes are offered outside of the instructional school day, so before school or after school. Enrichment proposals are typically submitted by our teachers, certificated staff. We've also included the opportunity for our counselors to provide these opportunities. Those opportunities are submitted to our coordinators, we review them, and then we go through the admission process and serve anywhere from 15 to 35 students in the enrichment opportunities for our students. So some enrichment data. In 22-23, and you'll notice the difference here. In 22-23, we had a model where a teacher would submit for the entire school year. So in 22-23, we received 60 submissions that served 900 students. In 23-24, just based on some feedback from students and staff, we created an opportunity for teachers to submit a proposal every 6 weeks, granting students the ability to kind of change the activity and have almost this experience where they had almost like an elective wheel, traditional elective wheel. They had access to different enrichment opportunities. In 24-25, keeping that same model, we currently have 51 submissions, with serving currently 756 students. RISE academic intervention at our 7-8 sites focus on outside the school day. It's really hard to get them there before school, so most of the work is done after school. Our efforts are course recovery or credit recovery, focusing on core content areas, and then also English language development intervention opportunities for our English learners. Just give you some RISE data. 23-24, you'll see Hanshaw served 96 students, earning 1,000 credits. That dropped to 23-24, which we're super excited of that number. So in essence, students are not needing as many credits in Hanshaw, and so you'll see that La Loma Junior High School is also trending in that direction, where students aren't needing as many credits to recover And so Mark Twain and Roosevelt, our team is working with their administrative staff to continue to support the students' needs there for credit recovery. Intersession student enrollment data. This is specifically for winter and spring over the last 2 years. So in winter of 23-24, we served nearly 2,000 students. Last winter, we served 1,500 students. Just an analysis of the feedback we received from families is that many families were interested in just staying home and enjoying the holidays with their respective families. However, spring, in 23-24, we served 1,200 students, and then we nearly doubled in spring. I think a lot of it has to do with the efforts that we made with having the spring camp feel. Students had an opportunity to attend many field trip opportunities, which enticed many of our students to join us for spring intersession. Students, summer school data, TK6, just the number of students that we serve. And this is in summer for our TK6 students, they have the ability to receive academic intervention or support to mediate any summer loss for instruction. They also have an opportunity for summer enrichment opportunities and field trips. So you see the growth there that we made from 22-23 to 23-24, and we're assuming that the trends will continue to grow for this upcoming summer. In 7-8, we served 23-24, 300 students. And then it decreased in 23-24. Some of it was just the reduction in the number of credits that were needed. But this year, we're really focusing on recruiting as many of our junior high students to really focus on that academic intervention need, and then also giving them the opportunity to receive some really dynamic enrichment opportunities. And then in our high school, 9-12, we served approximately 2,300 students in 22-23. Followed by a decrease in 23-24. That decrease would equate to less students needing credits as a credit recovery program. Also, I want to highlight that in 23-24, 15,000 credits were earned by our high school students, which is an increase of 500, almost 550 credits from the previous year. Additionally, we served 331 students that participated in First Look. That First Look effort was primarily in the academic core, excluding English language arts and history. Also gave the opportunity for our students to receive credit in CTE and then also foreign language. So new for high school this year, we're going to be implementing, and we started the implementation process now of academic intervention at our high schools. So very similar model, however, there isn't the requirement of having to stay till 6 o'clock, like our elementary students. In our junior high, and so we're focusing on academic intervention outside of the school day. So if we can entice students to come in the morning, we'll do that after school. Focusing on credit recovery efforts, again, focusing on core academic content areas, primarily in math, ELA, science in the 11th grade year, specifically in preparation for CASP, and then also EL intervention. Also this year, we're super excited and we're kicking off, I believe first round goes next week, offering enrichment opportunities for our high school students. We're specifically trying to identify enrichment opportunities for our marginalized and disenfranchised students, supporting our homeless foster youth, our English learners, African American, Black students, and then students with disabilities. And Mr. Nick Garcia, who's here from Johansson, has already submitted his proposal, so we'll have you doing some pretty dynamic things out there at Johansson for Johansson students. Next steps out of our office is obviously an ongoing effort to recruit and hire expanded learning staff at all of our levels to reduce the number of families waiting for access into the after-school program. Also focusing on, continuing to focus on our wait lists, enhancing our secondary intervention and enrichment projects for our high school students, and then also finalize the work for intersession, which is around the corner for winter, and then also our summer school preparation. Thank you. I also would like to thank Tammy Jones and Luis Jimenez, who are here from our office, who have been with us this evening in support of this presentation. Thank you. And now, Dr. Irvin, I yield the presentation to you, sir.
Pardon me?
I yield the floor back to you.
Okay,
President Irvin.
thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Dr. Rumayor. Are there any comments from the public? There, comments? Here we go. Ms. Peterson.
I've had the opportunity to work with East the last couple years on summer school specifically, and other intercession programs. I know that each of those programs benefit the students, but I know that they demand a huge support staff to keep them running. And I'm grateful for the opportunities for our kiddos and grateful for the opportunities for our staff to be involved in that program. I was excited to learn how that program was expanding and how it could be used for the funds that that program receives could be used in areas that hadn't, it's my understanding, hadn't previously been in place. And so it was nice to know that other opportunities could be put forth for our students, our staff, our teachers to all work together to bring our kiddos up to grade level, get those credits taken care of, get them getting their diplomas and being more ready as students once they leave our district to go on to the rest of their life, if you will. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public? Any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Marks.
Thank you. This was great to hear. I was really interested to find out how the programs were doing, and especially after school, because I've had mayors say, please, please, will you do after school programs? Because they said that little gap between 3 and 5 was a critical time in our city, and they wanted to find opportunities for our students to have things to do that were productive. And so I see we've, 6,500 students, almost 6,600 students in the program. So that's awesome. I love seeing that. And I wanted to ask you, so could you remind me what's ACEs? I forgot. I know the acronym. I've heard it so many times, but I can't remember what it stands
Yeah,
for.
I had to write it down.
Safety and education.
Yeah, say it again.
After school safety and education.
Oh, after school safety and education. Okay. And I know because I thought it had something to do with the police department, or at least I thought, but I know there's PAL, but I wasn't sure. So the other one is, I have a few questions. I wanted to know on the data, on our student demographic data that you had on slide 11, you had them broken down by ethnicity. So do we know how many are taking it, or the percentage of students taking it? Are we tracking the data on how well they're doing in it? I know you had the data for the ones in TK through 6, you had that data, which was great, 84% and 78% that were doing well in math, in ELA and then math. So can you tell me, are we tracking the data for these other students as well?
We are. So for very similar to ECE, our state reporting process typically ran in a completely different operating system, and so it wasn't all aligned to PowerSchool. Over the last couple of years, we are forcing every piece of data into PowerSchool, so that way when Russ and his team pull the data for us, it's all aligned. We have been monitoring our efforts, not only, so for example, if Isaias was in the expanded learning program, we are starting to ask the question, okay, what services is he receiving? Is he receiving before school, after school?
Yes.
Academic intervention, RISE, enrichment. In order to equate, are those services impacting and benefiting the student during the school day? Are we seeing a difference in their academic performance, their social and emotional performance? And that is data that we have yet to be able to analyze, but our hope is to spend some of the time during the winter to analyze further, to really just look at a few sites and then do some comparisons.
Right, because you would need them to not be in the program and then to be in the program to know the difference.
Yes, ma'am.
Because if they've been in the program, you won't know how to assess that, because you won't have whatever that scientific experiment is where you do the zero
Correct.
for where you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so, okay, that's good. Well, I'm glad that we're working towards that goal. So then on slide 16, you had the enrichment data for TK8. And I just want to know, so we had almost 3,000 students in it last year, and now there's 756. So can you help me understand why there's such a change. I wasn't sure if we changed the enrichment program. There's a change in who's running it. I mean, not running it, but who's actually teaching in the program.
Sure. So for 23-24, the number that you see there, almost 3,000, is cumulative for the whole year. And the 24-25 is just as of right now, the first 6 weeks. Currently, 756 students are being served.
Okay, so it continues to grow throughout the year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then along those lines on the enrichment, so what kind of enrichment programs do we offer, or what are some of the programs? Can you
So I'll go by popularity. Cheerleading at the elementary is super popular. Culinary arts, anything STEAM related. It's really anything that the teachers can do. Our request of our students, because we do ask a lot of feedback from our students.
Good.
Our request from students is, if I'm learning something, I don't want it to look like math and English. I want it to be fun, innovative, and exciting. So at all grade levels, it looks different. We're really at the ability of teachers' creativity. And so some teachers have some really dynamic enrichment opportunities that might be offered at Tuolumne that may not be offered at Marshall, and vice versa. But it's the popular ones that have the most students, or anything culinary arts and cheerleading currently at the elementary schools. We do have a full-blown intramural sports program, but those are primarily run by our partners and our expanded learning staff.
Okay. Well, this was awesome. I so appreciate hearing all of this and understanding better what's happening and where things are going. And I really look forward to seeing the data because because we're putting so much into this, I want to see the results and how our students are doing as a result of the extra time that they're at school, because this is what we want. Summer school, after school, before school. If I'm a parent, I want my kid there learning something. And so I think it's great. And making some things fun, like enrichment too. You can make learning fun anyway. So I've been in some great classes where teachers were just phenomenal. So I know that's possible with anything, including culinary arts. You can learn algebra. You can learn all these different things because of measuring. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. Trustee Marks, and I would be remiss without including esports as being one of the most popular programs at our junior highs.
When I saw that report that time, I said, wow. I had so many complaints from the public because it was in the paper. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. You should see what these kids, you should hear the kids. They came to our board meeting telling us how great this was. They came to school because of this program. And they were interacting in ways they hadn't interacted before. So I got to try to, because I heard a report, I could actually share exactly what we heard that night. So I could see why that one's a very popular one. Especially as the mom of 3 boys and 3 grandsons. I totally get it.
Thank you. Trustee Brown.
Yes, thank you for this report. I really am grateful for the opportunities that we're giving students from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. So is there a correlation? The kids that come early, do they also stay late?
They do. Yeah, many of those are of students of working families.
Well, and that's something that I wanted to just talk briefly about, the cost savings for families. As I talk to parents, they're astounded at the cost of childcare these days. And in many cases, parents weigh the ability to work with the cost they would pay for childcare. And to think that we can offset that and give kids meaningful things to do during the danger hours of 3 to 6, from the time that we let them out of school traditionally, and parents are returning home from work when they're there without supervision. For us to be able to provide that, that's amazing. So I'm grateful for the fact that we are providing an economic advantage to our families to be able to work and support the family, knowing that their children are cared for at no expense, and allowing them to learn at the same time. So we need to, in some cases, do better marketing for that economic advantage that we're providing to the community. I'm always looking at funding, and I realize that ELAP funding is protected at this time. No threats that we're hearing about cuts.
Not presently. No, not presently.
And we know that could change
absolutely
at a snap, and we'd have to, rethink a lot of what we're doing, but for right now, that's not included in any of our budget cutting concerns.
Not ELOP
So
currently, and then the ACES.
that we can be grateful.
Yeah, right. ACES, so the after-school education and safety funding that we receive ACES, that's under law, state law, and so there's that level of protection for ACES. But currently, ELOP funding is not. It's year to year. We wait for the California Department of Ed and Finance Department to guide us.
Okay, so I know that we are proud of our numbers, and you mentioned waiting lists. I'm concerned to hear that we do have waiting lists. Can you tell us more about that? How many families are not able to access our services because of a waiting list?
Sure.
And do we have funding? Is it a matter of not having the staffing to meet the waiting list numbers?
Correct. It is not a staffing issue. It is a staffing issue. So I'll give you an example. Today we were expecting two folks to join us from a staffing partner. The employee didn't show, and so we at that moment couldn't open a section. And so we rely heavily on our staffing partners to assist in our ratios. There are some strict ratios with this funding.
Well, thank you. So that's an area where we have opportunity for training people into those assignments a good chunk of time.
Absolutely.
So that's good to know as we have to make other cuts. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Vice President Maestas.
Thanks. Just something on Trustee Brown's comments. My daughter does both before school and after school. Sometimes she wants to go in at like 7:30, and then she's like, "No, I don't want to be picked up till like 5." I'm like, "I can pick you up at like 4." No, and so they enjoy. A lot of kids like enjoy staying.
Late as they can.
Yeah, and there were the group of them went to a tech or science night at Hanshaw this past week.
This past week.
Yeah, and so she went on a bus, and they went, and she had a great time there. But if it wasn't for the fact that she could go, my wife wouldn't have been able to go back to school, get her credential, and now be a teacher, because being able to balance her going to school early and then staying after school where we can pick her up. So those are the opportunities. I am so very grateful for this opportunity, because it has allowed my wife to go back to school and now become a teacher. So just a little anecdote to your point, Trustee Brown, about how it's changing lives. On that, is this the waiting lists, are they a site-to-site thing?
It is.
Okay, because I'd hate to take spots. I don't know, because I know that it's important for a lot of people. So I did have a question though. Where is it? Where is the question? Oh, summer school student enrollment for 7-8. I noticed that the 7-8 numbers dropped. Are those summer school for 8th graders and 7th graders, are those primarily like credits or remedial, or to get them back up to speed? And if so, are there any classes like a bridge class from 8th grade to 9th grade where students are getting like I know when I went to college, there was like an orientation. I was in the I can't remember what the program what was the program called? I can't remember what the program was called, but there was a program that we went for like 2 weeks, and they gave us like courses that we would need for like study skills and time management and how to basically make the transition. So do we have a transitions class from 8th to 9th grade, and do we have a transitions maybe summer from 6th to 7th, because those are the transition periods that we have in our district?
Trustee Meneses, we do. We refer to them as bridge programs.
Okay.
But they're not, unfortunately, they're not equated in these numbers since it's theoretically not summer school. Summer school funding was completely different last year. And so this year, our summer school funding will be completely out of expanded learning. And so we'll be able to monitor and track those accordingly for future presentations.
Okay, so those transitions, they weren't ELOP funded? They were,
Not for our high school students. So for our elementary, so from TK to K, expanded learning funds, and then we can provide those numbers. From 6 to 7, expanded learning funds, but anything from 9 to 12, it was not expanded learning funds last year.
okay. Oh, now I'm remembering some meetings that we had before to make, so that we can get those happening. Okay, so I would like to see some data on kids that go through our transition or bridge classes and how they are doing as they go into our classes. I know people they're laughing at me because when I say data, that's what I'd like to see. So I'd love to be able to see that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Star Trek.
Trustee Mejia.
Yeah, I would like to make a little bit of comment before I have a question about the working parents and all that. I think it's we talk about opportunities, but we also talk about some of our families do not make a lot of income, and sometimes children, this is like their place where they get all their needs met, and sometimes vacations and summer school are not very good for some children, and for some children they are like reminiscent. They get a little sad that they're actually leaving school. So let's keep those students in mind that this is like their home. And it's an emotional thing, but like I also work at a school, and kids call you like, "Oh, you're like my dad," and that makes you, take some of what you're doing to a whole different level. That you are more than just an educator. You're a role model, but you're more to them. And it breaks my heart, but it also makes me feel happy that you serve that role for children. So I want to appreciate that for your staff and you. I do have a question. It didn't come from me. It came from a parent as I'm talking to folks out in the community. And this question is regarding special needs students and how, I know it's hard to do all the work that you're doing. And then how do you accommodate, and then there's different levels of severity of special needs. And so I just want to get some, if you don't have the answer, that's fine, but you can give it to me later. But I want to know how you transition those students into the after school program, or are you providing services for special needs students in the after school program?
Sure, absolutely. Great question. We, through our inclusionary practices to provide an opportunity for students with disabilities access to programs, we leverage a lot of our support and resources with our staffing partners in special education. So if a student, for example, has a one-on-one aide assigned to them, and if there's an opportunity for us to serve the student, we will ask the one-on-one aide if they're willing to work with the student in the after-school program. And then they're paid hourly for that service.
Thank you. Yeah, just because I couldn't answer, I couldn't answer to that family, but yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure.
My last 10 questions are right here. I'm just happy to see how far they expanded. Like I said, in 1998 I started the programs, and went from 100 to 1,500 at our height. So to see 6,000, also, but I didn't realize you still had waiting lists, because we've had waiting lists all those years as well. But to see, back then we called it disguised learning instead of enrichment, and then it transitioned into enrichment. But it's great to see that we are being able to provide those parents with an opportunity to really, as a de-stressor, trying to come home and being able to prepare for students to transition home, at 6 o'clock rather than trying to juggle everything. All my kids went through our after-school program, so it was good to be a district employee and then have your children go through the after-school program. And so this is just great to see the expansion and and the evolvement of the after-school programs in our district. So yeah, they were dear to my heart. Well, they still are, but it's good to see that they're expanding and more intense nowadays.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is the B7, public notice to approve variable waiver request under California Education Code 44253.3 to the California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. Associate Superintendent Mike Henderson.
All right, good evening, Board President Irvin and trustees, board members, Cabinet, Dr. Noguchi. Thank you. I don't have anything, just go right to the item. Actually, I do have something. I was inspired by Trustee Maestas and his mention of Halloween carnivals at schools. It is that time of the year. Kind of dressed. I see I was the only one, but 2014 did my own Halloween carnival with the kids. I don't know if you did the ping pong ball for the goldfish, but I'll add some data. It's probably like a 1 in 10 chance to get the cup with the water in it. I nailed it, got the goldfish, 50 cents, 1 ping pong ball, 10-year commitment. I still have those 2 goldfish. Something short of doing something really bad, I feel compelled to keep them going as long as they're going, but they're up for adoption tonight for the next
Are their
6
fins gray?
minutes, so, pardon?
Are their fins gray now?
I don't believe so. They keep their color. Anyhow, thank you for indulging me in that. Item B7 is a waiver request related to a credentialing requirement for certificated instructors as required for the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. In this case, it applies to one CTE teacher who is proficient in his respective industry, but he doesn't yet have formal pedagogical training in instructing English learners. Upon approval, this waiver covers the requirement while he completes his coursework as part of the process of clearing his respective credential, and we recommend the board approve this item.
Are there any comments from the public? Peterson? No. Are there questions and comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain. Oh, entertain a motion. Chad, been properly moved by Chad, Trustee Brown, and seconded by Trustee Mahir. All those in favor, signify by aye. Aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Items to be placed on a future Board of Education agendas. Do we have any items? Seeing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Trustee Daly, been moved by Trustee Daly and second by Trustee Mahia. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Meeting adjourned.